when you look back on this season, what's going to be maybe the most gratifying thing you'll point to?
Well, I think up until this point, the growth of this football team has been transformational. I think that, again, it'll all be defined by how we finish. There's still, I think, 8 incredible quarters for this football team to finish what it started. But the one thing this group has done literally every single game it's played is it's grown and it's gotten better. And I think that's really hard to do, especially this day and age in college football. Maybe as young as we are in some areas, but I think their determination, their intent, and their purpose has been powerful to watch. And so they have had the ability to get better every single week. And, a huge challenge, obviously, as you finish this, you go to a great football team and a hard place, as we know, to play. But what a great gift for this group to kind of challenge itself to finish this thing off the regular season the right way.
I found it interesting talking to Rocco a little while ago. The stats say that if anybody is going to move the ball against Kansas State, it's probably the pass because that's where they're lower in the ratings. But yet Rocco said they'll disguise and then boom, all of a sudden they'll drop 8.
Mm-hmm.
What do you when you're scouting an opponent, when you're planning a game plan, do you look at stats? Do you look at the fact that they drop 8? What do you look at?
Well, I think you try to do everything in your power to look at a little bit of everything. And, I think the respect that you will have for really good opponents is they're going to look at you too. And, I think what you may think you may get, sometimes that changes. And so, I just think the ability to, and we've talked about this, to make the right adjustments, to have a complete game plan and, be able to take what the defense gives you and maybe what the flow of the game gives you at times as well. And so, you do have a complete defense. You got a group that can pressure you at times. That certainly can drop 8. Veteran defense, at least in terms of being in this system for a long time. So, another great challenge for us offensively for sure.
How would you describe this game and this series over the course of your 7 times playing it?
Well, I mean, I feel like it's almost a little bit like everybody we've played in some way, shape, or form it's been, right down to the end. It's a physical football game. Usually the team that really plays with the most detail in the game wins the football game. And probably why, for me and for us, just such another great challenge is, can you be that team for 4 quarters? And you're going to have to be, especially on the road in this game. I think this is in my opinion, one of the great places to play in college football. I think their game day environment is electric. Obviously, the tradition that they've created there makes it that way and makes it a real challenge to play there.
With this game specifically being a non-protected rivalry going forward for you guys, do you feel like you guys are losing anything by not being able to play this game? And I guess more generally nationally with realignment, is college football giving up something important in terms of rivalry games kind of falling off the books?
Yeah, I think you look at this year, even for us, I mean, it was there's some uniqueness in, you play a BYU and a Cincinnati for the first time and, you go there and I think those are some positives, of what realignment is doing and some of these new places that you get to go and that's awesome. But I think you're talking to the guy that likes tradition and you love to play in these kind of environments and these games and, the respect that you have for the opponent because you know what they are and what they stand for. And, man, to go win games like that's huge. And so, I'm probably more of the traditionalist. I love being able to have rivalries and, be able to play in big football games that mean a lot to both universities and both alumni groups. And I certainly think a game like this means a lot to, I know, our program, and I think it means a lot to their program as well.
Kind of wanted to ask you, Nate's obviously pretty young to be an offensive coordinator. It seems like a lot of head coaches and even schools in general are hiring younger coaches. What do you think some of the advantages are to hiring a young head coach? I mean, you were younger when you got hired here, young coordinators, staffers in general.
Yeah, that's probably a good question that you guys can probably answer better than me. I think the reality of, youth is the age piece of it, whether it's on the young side or the older side, it's a number. I mean, at the end of the day, can you lead people? And that's what I really feel like a head coach or a coordinator at this level or any level, man, you got to be able to lead people. And, there's really good leaders and there's not so great leaders. And I think that's when you talk at least about Nate, what has made him successful is he's a great leader of people, and has certainly done a great job. But I think the age piece of it is a lot of it's irrelevant. I would say, from my standpoint, I've grown a ton and continue to grow, and still, but you're 43 years old, and I feel like I grow every game and every day, and as long as you got the humility to want to keep growing, our sport is one that is always evolving, and I think you have to, sometimes experience is a great thing. I would tell you, you look at John Haycock, and he's one of the best coaches in the country, and, we're in a state, you got Kirk Ferentz, one of the best coaches in the country. I mean, it's just the reality of it is, you can talk about age on both ends of the spectrum, and man, can you lead people, and can you do a great job of caring about people? And I still think that matters.
What about Nate makes him an effective leader of his offense or even the team as a whole?
Well, I just think in general he has done a great job of developing not only the players but the staff around them, and we'll only continue to do that. I just think Nate's young and continues to grow forward, but again, his greatest gift, I think I said it before the season started, is who he is, far greater than even just what he does in terms of knowledge. But Nate's really special for sure.
Matt, how good was it to have Jeremiah back, and secondary to that, how is Malik doing and everyone else?
Yeah, certainly huge for us to get Coop back. We've just been, I feel like we've, if there's one area we've been pretty lucky this year, but the one area that we've been kind of bit is in the secondary, and then certainly in our safety room. But I feel like, with Coop back, I think J-Mo, the experience that I told you, the week before that he got, I thought it gave us a great 1-2 punch to the field, and I thought we played, for the most part, really good football out there. And, Malik's situation, same thing. I think, we'll see where he's at. The great thing for him, it's not a strain. It's, it's a forearm deal, and we'll kind of just see where we're at by the time we get to the game. But, at least there's a real chance that he'd be available for us.
And Randy asked a question about Nate about a wow moment, maybe with Rocco, and Nate said it happened in spring and fall camp where maybe he had a not-so-good day and how he responded to that. And then I followed up. It seemed like he did that in season as well. If he has a not-so-good play, he responds. What makes him special that way?
Well, I do think that's the trait that Rocco has that has certainly, in my opinion, stood out the most, is his ability to respond to hard things. And, I think the quarterback position, it's never going to go perfect. I saw Brock had a perfect passer rating, and I still know in the game it wasn't perfect, And to me, the great quarterbacks that I've had the opportunity to be around is their ability to respond in the moment. And, I think that Nate's right. I mean, there was a couple of times in spring ball, there was a couple days early on, and then there were a couple days in fall camp where it wasn't great. And his ability to snap back into it, respond back into it. You've heard me say this a lot, but I do think it's hard for 18 to 22-year-olds, is probably equally for everybody in here, is who are you as a human? What do you stand for, and what are you about? And that's the one thing Rocco from day one, he's been really grounded that way. Man, he knows what he's about. He's not trying to be anybody else. He's just trying to be the best version of himself. And he's got that trait, and I think that really allows him to work through and navigate through the hard things. And, I think you saw it, you saw it even Saturday again. Like, man, you're a play, you're an inch off, and yet he has the ability to come right back. Man, he responds right back. We go score a touchdown and puts us right back in the football game. And that's the characteristic trait that I think great quarterbacks have to have the ability to have. You look in the NFL, they all have it. The elite ones do. That's what separates, not arm talent, not escapability, mobility. It's, man, can you snap right back in the moment and keep playing? And that's what the great ones got the ability to do.
You guys are coming off a difficult opponent in Texas, and you immediately go on the road and face another really good team. Are there challenges in having two really tough teams to close out the year, and are there also any maybe hidden benefits in that?
Well, I think it's way more beneficial. I think we got to November, and you played a great Kansas team, at the time, playing great football. Go to BYU, which is one of the hard places in college football to play. You saw that last week with Oklahoma. Then you snap right back into it and have to play Texas, and you finish at K-State. I mean, to me, you want to play big games in November and you want to test yourself. And I think each one of these tests for this young football team, man, it's just building equity in terms of the how and the process it takes to win these games. And so, to be honest with you, I know myself, I'd rather not have it any other way. You want to play great teams and you want to play them and you want to have the ability to see and measure yourself of where are you and where are we as a football program.
Matt, this is kind of a retrospective question to senior day, but after the game Saturday, I watched, I think it was Nickel and Porter and Tampa all on the field kind of embracing after the game. Vaughn he had tears in his eyes.
Yep.
What does that tell you about what this place has become to those guys who may not have had any ties to it prior to being here?
Yeah, I think that's, again, that a little bit why senior day is so unique and special. You know, it's just really hard to get there in today's world. You know, we'll be into the transfer portal season next week, right? Like, and it's just like, man, to stay and work through hard. And, you know, we talk Friday nights, our coaches get up and talk about each of our seniors and before the last home game. And, you know, you hear Gary Vaughn's story, right? And Gary came here. He's from Atlanta, Georgia. He's got no ties. He plays in a great high school football program. Comes to Iowa State. He doesn't play right away. He's on the scout team. Then from the scout team, he starts on 2 special teams as a redshirt freshman. Then is a redshirt sophomore. He's on 4 special teams. And then as a redshirt junior, he's playing a little bit of linebacker. And then in the bowl game against Clemson, he starts at will linebacker. And then, you know, last year he starts every game, plays great football for us. It's just like, man, that used to be what our sport was about. It's like, man, there's growth, there's perseverance, and you just keep pounding away at it. And, you know, I think we've been really fortunate that we still have a lot of those guys in our program that stay the course, that it's about team. And, you know, you look at Pogo and what he's done for our team. And Darian Porter's been the same thing. It's not been flashy or, man, big numbers, but man, what he's done for our team, he's won us a lot of football games. And so, you know, I just think to me that what has allowed us to be successful, winning with those humans, with the glue, the guys that, man, stick it out, continue to pound away, and are willing to do whatever's best for the team. And I think when you do that, there's a lot of sweat equity in terms of, man, you play your final game here and what this place means, and someday you bring your wife and your kids back here and you say, look what I did, look what we did, look what I was a part of. And I think those are some of the great things that's about resolve of staying the course and working through hard things and growing into who you should become, because really our sport is still about that. It's about growing 18-year-old young men to 22-year-old men. And really, you know, the sport of football still gives you the opportunity to teach young people accountability, toughness, working through successes and failures, and how do you become the best version of yourself? Because, you know, we still know that how many of our guys, you know, are going to go play in the NFL, minimalistic. But how many of these guys got a chance to go be great fathers and husbands and go make a difference in their community, go be great leaders that we're missing out there in the world today? That's still what our sport's about. So I think you talk about those guys, man, like those guys, they're set. Like whatever else happens, like they're good, you know, and that's what's rewarding from my end of things. So, yep. Thanks, guys. Have a great Thanksgiving.